Just to make this perfectly clear, this is not a tutorial and I have no idea what I'm doing. Each month I have my patrons vote on what I will write about on my website the following month. A lot of times it's tutorials, finishing techniques, different resources for cross-stitch, all sorts of things. There's 90 plus articles on my website if you want to go check it out. This month the winner was Hardanger, which if you're not familiar with is a type of embroidery done on a even weave fabric, very similar to cross stitch, but it features cutting into your fabric, which, let's face it, is pretty terrifying when you're not used to doing so. The reason I put it on the poll to begin with is because a few months ago I made an order from a Thrifty Notion, which is a online craft supply thrift store, which is an awesome idea. And I was picking up like a new 6-inch Q-snap, some random Ida fabric, and I saw this little kit, and I thought I would pick it up because it was literally $3. And it's this tiny little Hardanger kit, just to get my feet wet in what Hardanger is like. So that's what we'll be doing today. And I will be comparing it to what I know, and hopefully encouraging y'all to try it too if it's not as scary as it seems. So let's take a look at what actually is included in my little kit. Alright, please excuse my desk. I am a crafter after all. It will get a bit messy. This little kit, I've already taken out of its bag, was designed by Margaret Lee Rigiel for Rocky Mountain Stitchery, and according to the pattern, which I've set aside so I don't accidentally show it to you, it was designed in 1997. So a nice little blast from the past. It's pretty cool. This is the front's a little bit of cardstock, and it has an actual photo of a finished project, like taped on there. Like, yeah, Kodak Royal paper. Yep. Cute little homemade kit. It's got a bit of 32 count Belfast in like a beigey taupe color that I absolutely need to iron before we start. And we have this little cluster of thread right here. Some of it is just embroidery thread, like the standard 6-stranded cottons. That's the red and the green. And then it won't show up on camera at all, but the blue and the ecru are actually pearl cotton, which if you're not familiar with, is a single-stranded thread. You don't split it apart, but it's a more twisted thread than the standard 6-strand embroidery, and I am making a mess because I'm fidgeting with my hands as I talk. That's fine. We needed to spread it out anyway. Looks like it comes with a more than reasonable amount of thread for this small project, so I'm excited to try that. And then it came with a individually sealed little, looks like tapestry needle. It's pretty dull. From John James. There's our materials. I'm gonna go iron this and maybe clean off my desk a little bit, and we'll get started. Alright, and we're back. I have ironed my fabric. I have identified the center point. I have put all of my floss into a floss drop. This one's from Adam Hart Cross Stitch. They're super cute. I mainly used it because I needed a good number of slots. So normally I would hang these from like a binder ring or something, but for now it's just going to be a little tiny thread palette since we've only got 4 colors to work with. Let's get started. Most of this is going to be done in time-lapse mode just because this is going to take a while. I will keep time. Oh, look, brand new needle. We'll use the provided needle. Very nice. And the instructions want me to start with the blue satin stitches on the outside, so we're gonna do that. For those of you not familiar with floss drops, here's a nice little trick. We can just pull right from there and leave the rest on there. And with that, let's get this outside done. Yes, I do knot my threads. Don't at me. It's a bad habit. But here we are. No. Let me get my scissors because I need some help with this pearl cotton. Okay. Let's go. Hopefully you can see okay. As usual, I have my lighting pretty dim, but the camera seems to be picking it up alright with the brightness turned up. I believe this is done over 2. Let me check the instructions. Yes, so I need to count. I need to remember to do over 2 when comparing to this pattern. And this pattern is not like a typical cross-stitch pattern. It has a picture of the weave. Not like a photo, but like a drawn weave where it has drawn the pattern over. So that's going to be an interesting adjustment. I don't want to show you the pattern because it is Margaret's and you can maybe still get it from her. I haven't actually checked her website, but you know. All right, let's go. So it says it's over 2 threads. Right. But looking super close at the photo here. Come on, focus. No? Okay. But it looks very much per individual hole. So I don't know that that's accurate. Like maybe the cross stitches are over 2, but they're just in the little corner. So we're off to a great start, huh? Let's undo. Yeah, see, that's looking a lot more like the photo. Which is weird because it definitely does say in the instructions over 2, but that's fine. I don't know if this 36 count, sorry, 32 count is the best choice for this because it's not very even. There are, I don't know if you can see on camera, but there's definitely somewhat strands that are thicker than others. Here's what the back's looking so far. Pretty much the same as the front. Oh. I zoned out. It's time to frog. Those last few, I went one too far. I was getting into the pattern, and I did not count. Trying to be gentle pulling these out. That's second frog. Alright, let me take a quick break to take a photo for the blog. Sorry, I wanted to take some whip photos for the website article that I will be making on the same topic. That should be out before or around the same time as this video comes out, so that'll be linked down below. Alright, we'll do one more section. I've done the outside border. The second step is to do the interior square and the leaves. And this calls for 2 strands of DMC stranded cotton in this green. So I think it's all the blue that's in this, which is interesting because I still have half of the cotton pearl left over. But it's having me do the inner block in the 2 stranded cotton. So that means to me that you can technically do Colster blocks with stranded cotton. You don't need cotton pearl, but it does give a nice solidity to it. So let's at least do this part, and then I will take a break and start with the cutting and such. Alright, here's what I have so far. Just the outlines. I definitely would have done this in a different order than it recommended, especially since there's no cutting yet. In fact, the next part is the pink satin hearts. It has been about an hour, so I will come back tomorrow and do the hearts and get into the dreaded cutting. And we're back. Okay, so we have the hearts left to do, and then the scary part where we start cutting. So let's have a nice little warm-up. Get used to staring at these tiny little stitches again. And then we will proceed to the actual Hardanger. Two strands. The thing said 2 strands, and I immediately ignored that and was like, 1 strand? It's tiny, it should be 1 strand. No. Bad Siri. Let's start over here somewhere. Look at that. We have the satin stitches done. Now comes the terrifying part of having to cut strands. I don't really have a lot of instruction here on from the kit. The kit literally just says carefully clip threads to produce the resulting horizontal and vertical threads as pictured. Cool. Alright, well, that said, I did watch a tutorial by Sara Homfray, who actually knows what she's doing, and I will link that below, and then we will try that to see if we can pick out some threads. The first things I'm going to do is try to pick out these vertical ones. I don't know how well camera will pick that up, as I have to kind of do it down here, but we'll see. I'm gonna try using my needle to just lift out this middle one. So we want to do the vertical lines in the middle here first. And we want to make sure we only get that 1 thread. So I'm gonna make sure that's the only one. Make sure I can see the tip here and it's not clipping anything. And oh god. Oh, there's the first cut. Yep. It's happening. I'm gonna gently pull it up. See if we can grab it from the back. Okay. There's the end of my red. Let's get that out right real quick. So I've pulled it up. And let's zoom in a little bit. We've got our single strand there. And I'm gonna cut it. Being very careful not to cut anything else. That's one done. Let's do this again over here. Again, we want all the vertical strands cut, but none of the horizontal ones yet. And there's two more on this section. So I loosen the weave, and then I clip. Sorry about my scissor fob being kind of noisy on camera, I'm sure. I can take that off for now. I made these myself, and I am planning to sell them at some point. I just have been trying to use it regularly to make sure that they're strong enough to hold up to daily use. But we don't need to be testing it right this second, where it's just going to be clanging against the desk constantly. So let's just very carefully clip. And one more vertical. Let's kind of shove it over into the center there. Let's see if I can do this one zoomed in now that I've freed up some room. Basically, I'm moving it center-wise. And then very carefully making sure the tip of my scissor is visible. Doing some cutting. Okay. And then from the back, I am pulling up that little strand. And then cutting it as close as I dare to that satin stitch without actually cutting the satin stitch, because that's what's holding everything together. And we have our first row of verticals. So I'm going to do the other side here first, also the verticals. Let's now proceed with actually cutting it. And pulling out that strand. So far my thoughts are that while this is scary, and I want to go very carefully, it's not hard necessarily. Kind of wiggling it around a little bit so that you can see what you're doing helps. To be fair, this is what, 32 count? I feel like this would have been much easier if the kit came with the 22 count Hardanger fabric that is meant to be standard of this craft. But it's not terrible. Luckily I have worked on 32 count fabric before. 32, right? Yeah, 32 count Belfast linen. Which again has some imperfections, so probably not the best choice. But since I'm working from a kit, it's what I got. Maybe I do have some 22 count Hardanger fabric in my stash because it is very much usable for cross stitch. Mayhaps I will try doing this pattern again on 22 count to see how it compares. Okay, and one more vertical line. Yes, once you get familiar with Hardanger, you could probably do multiple strands at a time instead of doing one individual little snip each time, but since I have no idea what I'm doing, we're sticking to this. Thank you very much. Okay. So now, speaking of which, this whole little block needs to be cut. That needs to be wide open. So I'm going to carefully push down the threads that we don't want to cut. With the needle there. And I'm going to bravely cut all 4 of these at once. Oh god. Whew, okay. And a little bit over here. Okay. They kind of stick out a little bit there, but I think you can just kind of tuck them into the blue. I don't dare cut any closer with those scissors. What's it look like on the photo? Yeah, her white strands kind of poke out a little bit too, to be fair. Do you think we could get a little bit closer? Trying so hard not to cut that cotton pearl, because that would be disastrous. So let's try folding it in such a way that the strands of the fabric are a little bit easier to see. Nope. Oh, that's as close as I'm getting. Let's see if I can't tuck them away with my needle. It's not too bad. We got a little opening. Okay, now the other side. Okay. Oh, Lord. Okay. I'm so scared to cut that cotton pearl. I don't dare to get too much closer than that. Alright, so there's the first few terrifying cuts. I gotta do the same pattern on the other side. So I'm gonna go back into time-lapse mode. And I'll be back in a bit. let's do the next part. I have to cut all 4 of these. I'm gonna see if I can muster up the courage to do them all at once. There we go. Yeah, let's do that again on these. There we go. There we go. I probably should have taken some photos of that, but we have all of this little things. I kind of zoned out there, which is why I didn't think to take a photo, but that's fine. I will take some screenshots from this video for the blog, I guess. I'm still not quite comfortable with how close to the threads, but we're making progress. Now to do some quick cross stitches. Anchor my thread here and go over 2 this time. This is the only part that's actually over 2 as far as I can tell. I can't really trail across here though, because you'll definitely see it on the back, so I gotta stop and start each one, which is no fun. So I'm gonna trail along the back through the blue instead. So the next part of the instructions just say needle weave the remaining vertical and horizontal threads. So we're again using a cotton pearl thread, this time a bit thinner than the blue. And the idea is that these little single strands that we have left need to be secured. So we're gonna weave them together into that center bar. And I don't know that it is picking up well on camera at all, especially since I'm essentially doing white on white or ecru on cream, which is not much better. But we're just doing 2 strands at a time and weaving it together. Here we go. So we've got one little bar done. Let me see if I can get it to focus. There. So again, I'm going to take a photo of this real quick so that you can actually see the details up close. And then I'll go back into time lapse to finish this up. Still not entirely happy with how much of these little strands are still poking out amongst the blue, but I'm still kind of scared to cut more. And I think the tips of those scissors are a little dull. Let me try a different pair, maybe it'll be easier. Not really. Here. But it is successful. Now, traditionally, Hardanger is done with white thread on white fabric, so you wouldn't be able to see those bits quite as starkly because it would just blend in with the white. But since we're doing a colored one, they kind of stand out. All in all, though, I don't hate the process. It is a little bit terrifying cutting into the fabric, making sure you get the right strands, but I imagine that is a thing that you get used to with time. So if you're wanting to give Hardanger a try, just do it. What's the worst that could happen, right? Especially like a small design like this. Here's the back if you're curious what that ended up looking like. It's not quite as pretty, but it's not terrible. As to what I'm gonna do with this little piece, I have no idea. If you have any suggestions, please let me know, because I'm not too familiar with finishing Hardanger projects. I have seen people get like a colored cloth, usually a silk, and put it behind it. Here's a sticky note for example, so that you can see like a color behind it. But this fabric's also really thin, so you see that it shines through there as well. But maybe we can find something in my stash that works with both the fabric and through the holes. We'll see. But yeah, that's Hardanger. Will I do it again? Probably. I'll have to see if I can find some more free tutorials. Like I said, I do have some 22 count Hardanger cloth that I can try, so I can see if it's easier to work with than this. I did have enough in there that I can probably do another one with similar count fabric. So I'm gonna just keep that for now. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like. Otherwise, you can find me over on Patreon, where I release 2 patterns every month. The most recent pattern I would have released on my Patreon is this Sims themed sylvan tree. So if that's something that you would be interested in stitching, check it out. The link's below. Otherwise, you can follow me over on Instagram or check back in a couple of weeks to see if I've put out a new video. Whatever you decide to do next, keep creating.